Top of the morning, the afternoon, and the evening to you, whomever you may be, wherever you may be watching, looking, or listening. It is your boy Anthony Moore, Ant Mo, for those of you who may not know for sure. And welcome to the Modern Man Network, man. I give it to you, the people. And welcome to You Gonna Get These Sports, bruh. So you may be wondering, and I got some answers to your questions. What is the Modern Man Network? But most importantly for the show for tonight, what is You Gonna Get These Sports, bruh? Glad you asked. We speak for the anti-fanatic. We call it like we see it, and we worry about the consequences on the bike end. Hot takes are only bad takes if they're wrong. And we ain't wrong too often. We are loyal to who is loyal to us. Fandom is not given, it is earned. But either way, you're going to get these sports, bro. Welcome, man. Y'all come on in. Tell a friend, like I said, make sure you hit the like, make sure you share and subscribe to the channel. We was off for a few weeks. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a dope beat to step to. But it's cool. We back and we better than ever. I want y'all to see the cut. We got us a nice, fresh cut. You know what I'm saying? We feeling good. It's 2026. Put in the chat below. How you feeling? How you enjoying your 2026? Are you ready to talk some sports? But if you've seen the thumbnail, you are in the right place. Matthew Eberflus is gone. Thank you, Jerry. That's just a little angel. That's just angels in the outfield for you, because we are celebrating the fact that we no longer have to deal with that poor manner of coaching from a defensive coordinator. My boy Connor in the building. What's the deal? Man, listen, dog, I know we've been out for a few weeks. So glad that you came to join us. I see you didn't change it from Ohio State. Y'all got drubbed in the playoff. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got smacked in the playoff. It's okay. It's cool, but I'm not hating. The Pittsburgh Steelers got lucky, and we seen that the Baltimore Ravens rookie kicker, Luke, missed the kick to take them to the playoffs. It happens to the best of them. But I do say congratulations to my boy Connor. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you for tapping back in with your boy. But we ain't here to talk Steelers. We're here to talk Cowboys. And most importantly, we're here to talk Matthew Eberflus being fired today by his boy. That's his boy. By Jerry Jones. He put out a statement. We are going to look at that. Sometimes, I often wonder, how do other people on the team feel about the reality of like a coach being fired if they were a problem in the locker room? When big name guys are traded off if they weren't good team players. I have something to show you guys. George Pickens actually showed his approval in the slightest way, and it was funny. It was entertaining, but that's what he does. So let me get back to some of these comments, and we will get right into it. I feel bad for the Ravens kicker. It is what it is. People are sending the Ravens kicker death threats. People are childish and they hide behind keyboards. That's how it goes. Steelers better, by the way. Hey, it's cool. So anyway, let's get into it. So first, let's get into the statement that Jerry Jones put out there. So we can kind of talk about what we take from this. Is this coach speak or is this the reality? So this is from DallasCowboys.com. It says the Dallas Cowboys have released defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus. Having known Matt Eberflus for a decade now, this is Jerry Jones talking. Having known Matt Eberflus for decades now, we have tremendous respect and appreciation for him as a coach, and a person. Can't be true because you just fired him today, so you can't have much respect for him as a coach, not this year. After reviewing and discussing the results of our defensive performance this season, though, it was clear that change is needed. That this is the first step in that process, and we will continue that review as it applies to reaching our much higher expectation. Dallas Cowboys owner, president, and general manager, Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones. I got to give an applause, because for anybody who has been a Cowboys fan for long enough, just like I know, that they are very slow on the uptake. They are very slow to make a tough decision. I was talking to one of my Atlanta Falcons, my friends who's a fan of the Atlanta Falcons, and the reality is this. They signed Kirk Cousins to a contract, bad contract. They draft the rookie quarterback who had a couple knee injuries, but a better option, in my opinion, than Kirk Cousins. He has another knee injury. What he said was essentially, well, until they get somebody new in there, they're going to make the same mistakes. They're going to continue to do the same dumb things. And my point is this: never tie yourself to a bad decision. The quicker that you can own that you made a bad decision, letting your first year head coach, Shoddy, be able to bring in his friend, who was a pretty much a failure in all the other places that he went. Chicago was a disaster. It's not worth talking about as a head coach. You need to go ahead and let him go, give him his walking papers. We all know Jerry doesn't like to waste money that he spends on coaches. We just know this to be true. He doesn't like to end contracts early. He let Jason Garrett go 8-8 for 10 seasons. And even then he didn't fire him. He just let his contract run out. These are the type of things that were a cause for concern for anybody who has been a long-term Cowboys fan. And I stay down the street from the stadium, mind you. So let's see. Somebody's on here being a child again. We always have somebody that's going to be on here being a child. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the like. Anyway, let's see what my boy kind of talking about, and we'll continue the show. I'll have this playing in the background. I got to go study for exams. Much love, my brother. I appreciate that, Connor. My boy Connor died. He be showing love. All right, so Ed Pena says, Cowboy fan here, Joe Burrow will be the new Cowboys quarterback in 2 years after the contract is over in Cincinnati. He already said he won't resign. Well, here's the question. First of all, I would not be mad at that, right? That would mean that Dak's contract is about up, and I'm not hating on Dak. This year was my believe Dak year. From what we've seen from Dak, you can't get me to believe that that's a bad quarterback. I can't believe it, right? That's a good quarterback. And I think he proved it to us in a down year more than he ever has. But we all know that the issue was not on the offensive side of the ball. It was on one Matthew Eberflus's shoulder. Where do we want to start? How can I count the ways? Let's start at the Philadelphia Eagles game at the beginning of the season. We go to that godforsaken stadium, and we pretty much put ourselves in a position to win that game. But what happens? Matthew Eberflus. We all know that Jalen Hurts is not going to kill you with his arm. If he has any opportunity of slicing you up, it's going to be with his legs. He scores not one, but 2 touchdowns with no quarterback spy on him on third and short, third and long situations. That was telltale sign number one that this is not a guy who knows how to scheme us into a position to win. Here's the reality. If we look at the players that the Dallas Cowboys have on that defense, some of those guys are gone to free agency. Donovan Wilson, get out of here, boy. Not mad if you don't play another down. I hope your locker's clear. Any linebacker that we have on here now that's not DeMario Overshown or even Logan Wilson, I still don't know what the issue was with that. We traded for a guy that we didn't use. Anybody that's not those 2 guys, there's the door. Malik Hooker, you're terrible as well, sir. You may go. I say good day, sir. This defense was the problem. It's not you, it's me. I mean, it's not me, it's you. You know what I'm saying? So that just comes along with it. He said, here we go. Here we go. That better be something good. But anyway, man, this is the reality, though. So like I said, for those of you who don't know, if you've been living under a rock, Matthew Eberflus out as your Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator. Here are some of the facts, right? Because some people might say we're being too hard on Matt Eberflus. We were, in fact, with the exception of 1 or 2 games, the worst defense in the NFL. If anybody disagrees with that, I know what you can say about the Cincinnati Bengals. I get it. I'm not even here to argue with you. But we were the worst defense in the NFL. We had if I'm not mistaken, this is the most points we gave up as a defense in team history. We had multiple 40-point games that were given up, like 5 or something like that, 5 or 6. That is not a defensive coordinator that deserves to continue to keep his job. He should have been fired halfway through the season, but I get it. This isn't college. That's not the way things go. Micah Parsons was traded before the season. So we don't know what he could have been scheming up, the opportunities that could have arose from him being able to have what was the best player on this defense. Now, as we saw, Micah Parsons tore his ACL late in that season. Doesn't mean that would have happened if he was here. Who knows? Hope he has a speedy recovery. But I am one that believes that because of those choices that we decided to make for a guy that was clearly a talent. We're not here to act like Micah Parsons wasn't a talented player, right? He's got all of the cool measurables, the quick twitch, the speed, all of those things. But he does not give you the best chance to win against quality opponents. I get it. We see three sack games against the New York Giants and all these type of teams. I get it. The Oakland Raiders. Those are the teams that everybody beats up on. Washington Commanders, when their quarterback isn't healthy, he racks up in those games. And I'm not mad at that. But the reality is this. He's not your guy when you need it most. Micah Parsons is not the elite player that people make him out to be. And it's about time that it's a line from Batman in the second one, in the Dark Knight, where that very funny looking woman that they tried to make us believe was this attractive woman in Batman that he was in love with. And he said, and Alfred told him, he said, "That's the truth, Master Wayne. It's about time we stop outsmarting the truth and let it have its day. Let the truth have its day." Michael Parsons is cool. He's not this transformational LT type player. He's just not. He's too small. And not to say he's a small man, but to be a defensive end, he's light in the butt. He can't defend the run whatsoever. It is what it is, guys. And we gotta stop taking the emotion out of these grown men and start speaking the truth about whatever it is. But maybe that had an impact on how effective this defense was going to be. Even though we've seen this team with Michael Parsons on it in the playoffs, starting from his rookie year, where he had no impact in many games, and we've talked about it this year, talking about the season. It is what it is. Michael Parsons is gone, so we're not going to belabor the point, but he's gone. Trevon Diggs, who is now over there with his best friend, and I was going to say his butt buddy, he's over there with him now. Of course, he's able to actually play because Micah's hurt, but he couldn't stay healthy. Apparently, a beam fell on his head that gave him a concussion. He goes on IR. He comes back. He's not much better. He swears he's healthy, but he's getting roasted every week. So he couldn't stay healthy or good for us. Deron Bland, and we're talking facts of what has contributed to this season being a failure for your Dallas Cowboys, with clearly the first thing being ever hiring Matthew Eberflus. But Deron Bland, who multiple times this season, whether it was against Marvin Harrison Jr., who couldn't string together a great game against any DB in the league, Jahmyr Gibbs, all make this guy look like we're looking at an and one mixtape from 99, 2000. Like hot sauce is out there with the professor on the football field. Deron Bland was terrible after getting a $90 million extension. Once we traded away Michael Parsons, just days later, he gets an extension. Then not to mention, he also just gets hurt again with a foot injury. We need corners. And later we're going to talk about what do we do with the draft. Where do we draft at? What type of player should we be drafting? Please, whatever your thoughts are on the upcoming draft, are you happy that Matt Eberflus got fired? What should we do with those draft picks? Put them in the comment section below. The final straw to me is the reality that I can't tell you what the Dallas Cowboys do good on defense. We have no calling card. We're not a hard-nosed, punch you in your mouth, stop the run, abandon our bodies to, make the play. We have no identity besides not being able to stop a nosebleed when it matters most. Shout out to Bart Scott. It absolutely has to change. And the thing that we should be applauding Jerry for is the reality that he actually decided to pivot from a very bad decision in Matthew Eberflus. Now, Brian Schottenheimer is not without his flaws. We've watched this season. The offense looked darn near unstoppable early in the season. But 3 or 4 games into that season, it looked rather pedestrian. Yeah, I get it. The defense is the defense. But the offense appeared to sputter with very questionable play calls. When it mattered most against teams like the Detroit Lions and things like that late in the season, when we needed you to be aggressive on 4th down, we got very conservative. The plays that we ran in the red zone, very questionable. So Brian Schottenheimer, you get a pass because you did a good job as a head coach early in this season. Overall, you did a good job. Nobody was expecting for you to unlock Rayne Dakota Prescott the way you did. But you're not off the hook. Why did you allow Matt Eberflus to hang around for so long? Anytime that a coach decides that, well, I'm an offensive coach, but I'm also going to stick my head in here with the defense and talk about what's going on, the writing is on the wall. Matt shouldn't have never left it that long, been left here this long. So, with that being said, who's next? And let me pull up one pick really quick before we get into who could be the possible replacements at defensive coordinator for your Dallas Cowboys coming up in the 2026-2027 season. Shout out to Vach Lombardi. I don't know what this is. Thank you. Shout out to Vach Lombardi, man. R.I.P. the Flus, dog. Gone but never forgotten. Gone too soon. You know what I'm saying? Gone entirely too soon. But we'll holler at you. Who's next? I have 3 candidates that I believe we should at least spin the wheels on. We got to stop doing homeboy deals if you're the Dallas Cowboys. We got to stop trying to find a way to take the cheapest route possible. Jerry, you have to realize that you having the utmost control does not lend to us being in a position to succeed. Jerry Jones controlling every single aspect of what the Cowboys do and every hire, every fight, it just doesn't lend to the success. This is the thing that I always say. Success leaves clues, right? That's what we've heard for years. It's amazing to me. San Francisco's found a way to get to the Super Bowl multiple times. I didn't say when, get there. The Eagles have rebooted twice and found a way to get to 2 of the last 4 Super Bowls and win one. The Washington Commanders, after being a putrid team 2 years ago, go on a run to the NFC Championship with a rookie quarterback. The Giants are the only just decrepit team in the NFC East or the NFL. There's no hope for them, and Jackson Dart isn't looking too bad. So all I'm saying is we're gonna have to go about this a different route, Jerry, if we're really trying to find true success. If we're really gonna go all in. Are we really gonna trade our first round pick to get Max Crosby, right? The number 12 pick. Are we gonna do that? We'll get there, but let's go ahead and look again. Who are some of these candidates at defensive coordinator for your Dallas Cowboys? First up, we got Raheem Morris. Recently fired from the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to be honest with you. Those people that skin folk, they know what I'm talking about here. We know what this is about. It's unfortunate that we don't get the ability to show that we can sink our teeth down and be able to build a franchise and give it a blueprint. Put our thumb on a franchise and say, this is the choices and changes that I've made. This is how we are building. Even Mike Tomlin, who's only never had a losing season in the NFL, was suspected to be fired if they didn't make the playoffs, as if everybody makes it to the playoffs in the Super Bowl every year. It just doesn't happen. But for some strange, odd reason, he's close to getting the axe. It's between, they said, one of my coworkers, my boy Ron, told me today that last game with Jim Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin was the who gonna get fired first bowl or something like that. Now, Jim Harbaugh, I get it. You listen, you've had every opportunity to win over there. You've had AFC championships that you played in, couldn't get the job done. Some people could argue that Lamar Jackson isn't the guy. Some people could argue that. This was my quick outside theory like that I don't think people really caught, right? When you talk about Shedeur Sanders, and this is just a quick little aside here. When you talk about Shedeur Sanders, there were two teams that we know for sure that reached out to them about possibly drafting Shedeur. Those two teams were who? Baltimore Ravens, Philadelphia Eagles. What is the common thread between both of those quarterbacks? High volume running quarterbacks, talented in their own right for different reasons, not supreme excellent throwers of the football, both black quarterbacks, of course. A lot of the NFL is now. Nobody ever asked, what does that mean that Lamar Jackson is your starter, but they're willing to draft Shedeur Sanders? Now, somebody can say you can never not plan ahead for the future or have an excellent backup, but Shedeur Sanders is not a backup quarterback in the NFL. So why would the Ravens be wanting to draft him? By the way, if he did go there, how much different would that team actually look if they had Shedeur Sanders as the backup? Nobody's talking about that. Or even a Jalen Hurts, who struggles to throw the ball. If it's not a deep ball or a slant, he's not your guy. But you start looking at two guys who have made their impact on those franchises. The quarterback is typically safe. So now Jim Harbaugh's out. He's the first to get fired bowl guy. Mike Tomlin gets to live to fight another day. You live, son, to fight another day. You boys are punks, sissified, so quick to pick up a gun. Shout out to all the people who know the Friday reference. But nobody's never talking about that, though. Jalen Hurts, how does Philadelphia look when the Eagles are going through the rough patches and Shedeur Sanders is sitting on the bench? How does it look when Lamar Jackson is not playing that great or he's injured, as he's often been, and Shedeur Sanders is sitting on the bench? Nobody ever talked about that. But anyway, Jim Harbaugh's had every chance to succeed over there. Okay? So it is what it is. He gets the axe. Now we look at that, and I'm not even thinking about him as a defensive coordinator. I think his time may have passed. But either way, we're looking at Raheem Morris, who got fired. I talked to one of my guys, and he said that the Falcons set a team record for sacks this year. Raheem Morris is not an offensive coordinator. He is not an offensive-minded coach. That defense was pretty decent. It appears that he was fired too soon. He was not given the ability to do what he could have done as a head coach. But either way, he is now a potential candidate. He has won a Super Bowl with the Rams, and he might have been on a staff with Tampa Bay back in the day. I can't remember, but he's an excellent candidate for a defensive coordinator. And I'm not saying that he shouldn't get another opportunity to be a head coach in the NFL. All of these three guys I'm talking about all equally have the opportunity to get another head coaching job, and should at that. Now we also have, as the second guy, Brian Flores. For those of you who are missing what happened with Brian Flores, he won a suit against the NFL, Miami Dolphins, for wrongful termination. It was like conspiring. He didn't want to lose. They wanted him to lose, so they fired him because he cost them the number 1 pick, number 2 pick, or something like that. And he won. By the way, he was an excellent coach that the players got behind. Nobody had a bad word to say about him. But for whatever the reason, he didn't get the opportunities. He has gone on to greener pastures. Cool. Do your thing. I would love to have him over here. He was on the last year of his contract with the Minnesota Vikings. He has opportunities to go be a head coach in the NFL. You can't. Chances are you don't lose all of these guys to NFL head coaching jobs, especially if they're black. Let's just keep it a bean here, guys. We don't got to argue about it. But Brian Flores is probably my top pick, even over Raheem Morris. The next and last guy that I don't think we need a long, deep list of guys to pick from. We just need a few. Jim Schwartz, Cleveland Browns, who, he just coached up one of the greatest defensive rushers in all of football to the new sack record, Myles Garrett. No big deal. He coached that guy. Trust me, as great as Myles Garrett is, there are coaches that can put great players in bad positions. So Jim Schwartz, even though he's not my top pick, it probably goes Brian Flores, Raheem Morris, and then Jim Schwartz. Those are my guys. Put it in the chat. Let me know which one of those guys would you want as your next defensive coordinator, right? Jim, I just got an issue overall. I got an issue with, you were great somewhere else and then you come over here and then you're trash. And my only theory on that is I believe that possibly Jerry is only the blame for that in part because it's like the Big Tuna used to say, Bill Parcells. You gotta let me get my own groceries. You gotta let me shop for the guys that I believe fit my scheme. It goes back to the identity thing. If a guy becomes so good that he gets wooed by other franchises to be a head coach, that's something that you just deal with. Like Jerry has shown that he's willing to do. He will pay top dollar to keep somebody as a coordinator, head coach, whatever. So if you're willing to do that, Jerry, do it. But overall, we need to get somebody in here who has staying power, who can now bring us something that we can actually say that the Dallas Cowboys have a calling card on how they play defense. They're going to be tough up the middle. We're going to have great thick-skinned linebackers, whatever that may be. But for once, we absolutely are going to have to figure out something to do to make sure that this defense doesn't cost us another opportunity to at least make the playoffs. Playoffs? This is Ms. Reese. How you doing? But this is what I will say. If you go back and check the tape, I said when I scouted this season at the beginning, this was a 7-win team. It's a 7-win team. 8 max. I think I said a 7-win team, but the acquiring of George Pickens, if the receivers had a great year, it could flip us to a 9-win team. That's what I said. Check the stats, or check the archives or whatever you want to call it. But look at where we at. You know what I'm saying? Losing to the Giants, getting throttled by the Giants late in the season. I'm just saying, I feel betrayed, laugh out loud because I'm extra late. You got the notification on your phone, just like everybody else. But we glad you're here. You know what I'm saying? So those are my 3 picks. We got Raheem Morris. We have Brian Flores and Jim Schwartz as potential guys to fill the very, very easy to fill shoes of Matthew Eberflus. He gone. So with that being said, let's shift gears here now, right? I want to get into a quick little George Pickens talk here, and then I want to get into what do the Cowboys do with those draft picks? We know we got the pick number 12, right? Thank you for losing a game that we should have lost. It doesn't matter. The Giants are nobody. They're going nowhere fast. Lose the game. Let's position ourselves to go get top tier quality guys, right? So let's start first thing first here. What should the Cowboys do with George Pickens? In the chat, somebody let me know, what should your Dallas Cowboys do with George Pickens? Does Jerry still not talk to agents? David Mulugeta. I wish I could. Mugaleta. Is that how you said it? David Mugaleta. Here's what I know. And this is my theory when it comes down to David Mulugeta, when it came down to Micah Parsons, with that also being the now agent of Trevon Diggs. He didn't have an agent, and now David Mulugeta is his guy. When you look at him, he's also George Pickens' agent. Jerry Jones, and this is my theory, never really cared about bringing an issue between him and Micah Parsons, because he never really planned on signing him, especially at the number that he wanted, because Jerry knew that Micah wasn't highest paid non-quarterback type player ever anyway. I don't believe that there will be the same type of conflict with a George Pickens for two reasons. Number one, you could always franchise George Pickens. No muss, no fuss. Franchise him. He may not like it, but it's to be expected. Yes, would you like the longevity, the safety of being signed? Yes, you would. But you are a part of the reason why you don't have a long-term contract right now, because of the things that happen in Pittsburgh. It is what it is. You've had your best season of your career as a Cowboy in year one. And there were quite a few games where he went missing, or you weren't able to feature him the way that he did, and he still got 1,400 yards. So that's actually quite impressive for a guy who just touched down at the beginning of the season last year. The other thing is, Jerry really wants George Pickens. He can franchise him, and he also is to be desired by one Jerry Jones, your owner, your president, your GM, your master marketer. And I actually believe that George Pickens wants to be here as well. That's the difference. Now, here's the thing that I wanted to speak about earlier to go along with the defensive coordinator talks. Here's what I want Jerry to realize when it comes to George Pickens, Micah Parsons, when it comes to any candidate to be a defensive coordinator. People love the Dallas Cowboys, very true. But I believe that just as much as Jerry deep down didn't want to pay Micah Parsons the money, I believe that Micah Parsons really wanted to go be a part of a franchise that he believed could truly win. The appeal of Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys has always been wrapped up in Jerry's ability to spend top dollar to get top prospect. If you have a salary cap, which, thank you, Jerry, you're the reason for the salary cap, you thought that it was going to translate and that everybody was always going to want to come to the Cowboys because y'all won in the 90s and because you always paid top dollar. But it just doesn't work that way, Jerry. And I think that Jerry is brilliant. I really do. In the way sometimes, absolutely. But brilliant, I do believe. I don't believe there's going to be an issue with negotiating with Mulugeta when it comes to George Pickens. I think he actually, when it comes time to get him signed, I actually believe it'll be a lot easier than what people say it is or think it will be. What do you think? Do you believe that Jerry Jones will actually be able to pull the trigger this year? Should we franchise George Pickens, or should we go ahead and sign him to a long-term contract now? When you look at the money that is going to come free on this roster, the reality is with the Green Bay Packers actually claiming Trevon Diggs, we don't got to worry about that contract no more. So they could cut him, no guaranteed money, and he's $12, $13, $14 million good off our books for next year. No more dead money. So thank you. Thank you, Green Bay Packers, for taking two players off our hands that I really don't care. I didn't care for anyway. I know it can probably sound like a lot of Michael Parsons hate for me. I just have seen this guy and he doesn't get it done. He never got it done for us. So it is what it is. So should we, and this is another outside option, that they actually franchise him and then trade him. You would have to show me a receiver that's ready to play right now to fit any win now window that we can either draft or trade for that justifies us signing him and trading him away. I'm for keeping George Pickens. I think it is what it is. These young players have a lot of energy. You know, he is who he is. He's nothing like what we thought he would be, but this was the thing about this. Let me go back and show y'all this. If you would direct your attention to the bottom, and I'm sorry, I need to take my my Cash App symbol away. Let me hide it so I can show y'all this. That is George Pickens liking this. That was the point of this. So they're talking about getting rid of the defensive coordinator, and George Pickens is like, thank you, Lord. So that's what I'm talking about, guys, is these new players, they're a bit unhinged. I'm not going to lie. They're a crash out culture. They listen to NBA Youngboy and they do what they want to do. I'd rather have a guy of that caliber on my team. He's going to win more often than not. After further consideration, CeeDee Lamb is more of a routician than he is, for sure. But the measurables on this kid, his heart, he's a dog. I don't know what happened in Detroit. I'm not going to lie to you. If y'all watched the Detroit game, he appeared to not be interested in playing football that night. But things happen. People want to say he was worried about CD with the concussion. I think that's a load of hogwash. But for whatever the reason, I want George Pickens on this team. And I believe that if he could be cool with a franchise tag, sign it, we could sign him next year. You know, that's just my thought process. So I don't think that the David Mulugeta thing is going to be an issue. Now, we're not going to hold you long tonight. Let's get into what do the Cowboys do with their 2 first-round draft picks. I'm excited about it. I'm not going to lie to you. And dang it, Jerry, you do it to us every year. Wanting and wanting and wanting and woo, might make your hair blow off. Shout out to my people who know Nutty Professor. You get us excited, man. We see what this season could have been with the right defensive players. We realize that the offensive side of the ball, although we need 2 new tackles, still, you're not good, sir. Tyler, whichever one of them you are, Guyton, I listen. When I see, so we got Tyler Smith, a monster at guard, or a monster at right. No, he's a monster at right tackle, right? Or no, he's right guard. Then you have Tyler, it's 3 Tylers. Tyler Smith, Tyler Guyton, and Tyler, whatever the one from Alabama. He's a beast. Rookie, he's a beast. Making grown men not be interested in playing football like he said he would do. And then you have Tyler Guyton over here at left tackle, and he's just not getting the job done, guys. Was hurt late. It's not panning out. Now, I don't know how we address that. I don't know if he's going to come in, and because if he then actually makes that next step to be the guy that we hoped he would be, then we got 3 Tylers on that line that are magnificent. But Guyton is on a very thin rope with me. And Terrence Steele, I'm good on you, sir. I'm super good on you. But back to the defensive side of the ball. Who should we draft with the first two round picks? Remember, our second and our third are gone. We gave up our first for next year, and our second for this year for Quinnen Williams. Not mad at that. Did a good job, Jerry. We gave up our third round pick for George Pickens. I'm not mad at that either. Let me see what my boy Connor griping on about here. I hate biology. No matter how I study, I still don't understand it. It's all good, brother. Take your break. Let's finish the show off. But so yes, Terrence Steele and Tyler Guyton are both issues on that line. So we need to fix that. Period. I'm not saying we got to spend first round picks. It's amazing that we're the only team that has to get first round graded guys to actually do well in the NFL. It's annoying. But either way, let's look at the players let's look at the actual positions on defense and the players that I would like to fill those positions. Okay. So we already have the 12th pick in the draft. If we don't trade it away for Max Crosby or something like that. We also would have up to the 20th, somewhere between the 20th and 25th pick, depending on how Green Bay does. I'm hoping that they get out in the first round, and then I would take 12 and 20 or something like that. That would be great. We need safety badly. We need corner badly. We need linebacker badly. We need defensive rushers badly. I get the season that Clowney had, but we cannot go into 2026, 2027 season with Jadeveon Clowney at 30-something years old being our starting defensive end, and he played great. He doesn't want to show up to training camp. He's going to want to command a good dollar. Typically, if somebody offers him more, he's not coming back here. Osadigizua, those guys, they were cool. You know, Kenny Clark, I'm good with, actually. You give me some Kenny Clark and you give me some Quinnen Williams, let's build around them. And everybody else, we can figure it out later. All right. He said, you're the only team that has good players, but still ain't good other than the Bengals. Who are those good players, Connor? That would be my question to you. I'm not saying the Cowboys are devoid of good players. I think Mario Overshown is a good player coming up fresh off a knee injury. I think Ravel, who had a knee setback early in preseason, remember that, mind you, I think he'll be good moving forward as well. But other than that, I would love to know who it is that you are actually saying are the good players that we have on the defensive side of the ball and that we still aren't good. Because when you have linebackers and safeties on the goal line that can't find the right hole to run through, I'm just good on it. I don't need any of those guys to come back. All of you can put in resignation papers. Don't play another down of football. Oh, I don't know about defensive side. That's my point, though. The defensive side of the ball is where we are hurting. George Pickens, CD Lamb. Oh, of course. But we just traded for George, and CD's been here. CD did nothing but get 1,700 yards last year or something like that. No biggie. So, yeah, we're in agreement on that. But we need to have a major overhaul of this defense through free agency and the draft. No questions asked. So, with that being said, like I said earlier, we absolutely need to let's see. So we got the 12th pick and possibly like the 20th through the 25th pick, right? At safety. I don't know if you've seen highlight film on Caleb Downs, but oh baby. Oh baby. I seen him crashing through the hole to meet the linebacker, to meet the running back in the hole. I seen him go line up on somebody. I seen him back in coverage. I seen him come lay wood. Like this guy, Ohio State, and you're going to hear a couple more players from Ohio State that I would love. I know we can't get all of them, but I would love to get two of these guys. Two of the three that I'm going to name, starting with Caleb Downs. Need it, gotta have it. Do you hear me? He said, yeah, my Steelers need to draft corners and safety badly. Then he said, because Joey Porter Jr. and Jalen Ramsey aren't good. See, I'm hearing different things about Joey Porter Jr. I'm not hearing that he's bad. Now, Jalen Ramsey's probably getting old now. You know, you had to move him to safety. He doesn't have the speed, probably not as aggressive. So I understand that. You should get Caleb Downs, and I'm going to go ahead and go to it because you speaking my language here, bucko. Arvell Reese, linebacker. Ohio State University, baby. These guys are electric. Do you hear me? Caleb Downs, safety. Put him anywhere on the field. I'm just telling you. Arvell Reese, electric. Put him anywhere. You want him to come up and look like a defensive rusher? He can do that. You want him to truly run sideline to sideline, meet people in the hole, open field tackles? He can do that too. Arvell Reese, baby. Need it, gotta have it. Or Sonny Styles. Sonny Styles. I've watched very little Ohio State this year, but these guys jump off the page. Let's not forget the first game of the season against Texas. Rendered Arch Manning ineffective. I seen Sonny Styles beat a defensive end. Beat an offensive tackle. Get in the hole. Arrive with bad intentions at the running back. He's not a super thumper, but arrived at the running back with bad. I'm telling you, you want to change how this defense looks? Go get two of these three guys. Get a safety, get a linebacker. I'm hoping that these type of players fall in our lap. You said, oh, nah. He said, you should get Caleb Downs and Arvell Reese. Okay, he said, Caleb Downs about to get 2 interceptions per game. He ain't going to do all that. Now, if he does, cool. But he's that guy, though. So I'm with you. You know what I'm saying? I just need him to do it for the Dallas Cowboys. He said, you ain't going to get lucky and get those dudes. Here's the thing. And this is shout out to Vach Lombardi. He said it better. He said it best. Teams are bad at drafting. There'll be a rush to get quarterbacks because guys don't know how to. Think about how many teams struggle to get a good quarterback every year. Make a bad decision. Go get the wrong offensive lineman. Jump for a receiver that doesn't pan out to be anything because he went to a big name school and he's got the measurables. I'm absolutely hoping that happens. Then he said, entire Buckeye defense is about to get drafted. Well, let's not forget y'all took a L. And, you know, y'all wasn't looking like Georgia from a few years ago or the old Alabama or nothing like that now. Y'all have great players, don't get me wrong. But, you know, temper yourself there, young buck. So to address one of the safety needs, and of course, you know, we could always go get somebody in free agency, so let's keep an open mind on that. But once again, Caleb Downs at safety, Arvell Reese at linebacker, Sonny Styles at linebacker. There is a defensive end, Ruben Bain Jr. from the U. He's a monster. Oh, he's a monster. Short, compact guy, great hand skills, kind of not super twitchy, not super bendy, but he can get the job done. He's causing havoc in these playoffs. I got a feeling a guy like that isn't going to fall to us, but I would take him to put on that defensive line. I don't care what we do. Let's help Quentin Williams out here, please. Then he said, yeah, but our entire defense are almost seniors and they good. Yeah, you're right. You're right. My last guy, I got one more guy, and it's a corner, Jamad McCoy. Suffered a knee injury last year. He's had a whole year to rest and rehab to ramp up. He could have played, but from what I've heard that other people have heard is that they wanted to protect this guy as much as they could to get him prepared for the NFL draft. This is a 4-3 guy, put his body on the line, can turn and run with the best of them. Assuming that he's been able to rehab this knee properly, I want that guy on my team. Like I heard Vach say, I am not going to ever act like I'm the draft specialist. I listen to guys who know what they're talking about. Vach said, hey, even with all the knee injuries, all that talk, I'll take him. He wasn't big on drafting safety. He watched tape on Caleb Downs. He said he does so much stuff every game. I'll take him. I'll take him my first pick. Will McClay. This is what you get paid the big bucks to do. Draft and draft well. See, the ability to lose when you're supposed to lose with a defense that bad, it's great to go get a Quentin Williams. It's great to go do that, right? But man, think about being able to lose. And I'm not saying it's okay to lose. I'm saying know what's going on. Be real with yourself enough to say, hey, let's get down into the top 5. To where we know a Sonny Styles is going to be there. We know a Arvell Reese is going to be there. An embarrassment of riches. And then couple that with, oh, we have another pick. Can we move up so that we can get another game-changing player? These are things that now we're going to see if Jerry is. See, you can't be all in and you're missing half your line. Those guys retired. You only got one good receiver. You got whatever that freaking terrible tight end that we let go to the Houston Texans. When he goes there, your defense is your defense. You can't say you're all in, Jerry. Now, the ball is in your court, sir. I roll the ball out at your feet. Let's go. What you gonna do? Because we have the opportunity through free agency. See, for those of you who don't know how Jerry and his family spends the beginning week of free agency, they go on a family trip because they don't want to be overpaying for players that may or may not pan out. Jerry, it's time to do your due diligence. We can't let quality players go to other teams and have an impact because you traded for Brandon Carr, because you traded for Roy Williams III, because you traded for that guy that beat that girl and it was a bed of guns and cocaine, and the guy that came from Carolina. We can't be held captive because you traded for the guy that, I can't even think of this guy's names, the guy that played for Robert McClain or whatever, Londo McClain, didn't want to play football. You traded for these guys. You picked them up. Don't make us victims any longer because you made bad decisions. It's okay, man. Pick yourself up, admit that you made bad decisions, and let's go put Dak in a position to go win 26-27 season, because the schedule is going to be a wallop. The schedule is going to be a monster, I assure you. Let's make it happen. So, for those of you who may have missed any of the beginning of the show, quick recap. Matt Eberflus, see ya. Don't want to be you. Don't want to talk about you anymore. I'm just glad. This is one of the greater signs that Jerry and his son Steven are coming to are coming to their wits. That their wits are coming about. Get him out of here. He doesn't know what he's doing. And if we keep getting these type of linebackers and guys that aren't producing, it might be time to start talking about, does Will McClay need to be here too? But I'm not saying Will McClay's a problem. I'm just saying, let's really do what we need to do. All right. We got Raheem Morris, Brian Flores, and Jim Schwartz as options. Let's see who we get in here. If it's Bum Phillips Jr. or something, I'm gonna blow my top. I'm telling you, because I've seen enough of that, man. Jury is still out on Schotty. Brian Schottenheimer did a good job for your first year. You did better than people probably assumed. So, George Pickens, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure they're going to tag him. It just makes sense to align yourself and put yourself in a position to load up and bolster your team on the defense. There's not going to be a problem with him getting a long-term deal. David Mulugheta, we're going to remember your name. Okay, we're gonna get your boy signed over here. I think George would actually talk on the side with Jerry. I just think he would. You gotta be able to play the game just a little bit with Jerry, just a little bit. Jerry is old. He's emotional. He gets in his feels. He takes offense when you don't want to be his friend. Okay. Just play the game, dog, so you can get paid next year. That's all I'm saying. And lastly, I'm excited about this draft. I am hoping that we end up with a top flight corner, defensive end, linebacker, safety. We can address all those things. Let me remind you of this. Let me really quickly. Please remember that the New England Patriots were a top drafting team last year. They were a top drafting team last year. They're just the number 2 seed in the AFC. No big deal. Second-year quarterback, no big deal. Mike Vrabel's over there, no big deal. He appeared to be a failure in Tennessee, right? Stop this. The new NFL is not contingent upon we build real slow. Yeah, we just, sit your rookie quarterback, let him. That's not today's NFL. You can go from worst to first relatively quickly depending on what you're doing. There's no reason that the freaking Washington Commanders should have seen an NFC championship before the Dallas Cowboys. But when you know your personnel and you put people in position to win, this is the result that you see. And if that quarterback doesn't get injured, they're still in position. Even with them, they lost Austin Eckler, what's their guy that's been their main guy for years and years and years over there? The little short guy. Anyway, he got hurt a lot this season. A guy like Deebo Samuels is hit or miss anyway. So all I'm saying is, Cowboys, we can do it too. Be intentional about who you're going to go pick up in this draft and in free agency, and then holla at your boy. Franchise George Pickens, it's what you got to do. Jerry, you can't befriend everybody. But let's figure out a way to put this team in a position to finally get past the divisional round of the playoffs for once, for crying out loud. I have hit all my points. Can I say thank you for tuning in to the Mind of a Man Network? Can I say thank you for tuning in to You Gonna Get These Sports, bro? My request is simple. If you roll with me this long, keep rolling. Hit the like so it can bring other people's attention to the show. Please subscribe to the network. Tell a friend to tune in on a weekly basis to a real network that wants to give you quality content on a regular basis. I am your host, Anthony Moore, once again, owner and operator of the Mind of a Man Network. And I thank you for watching You Don't Get These Sports, bruh. As I end every podcast, I love you. From the bottom of my corazón. That's hard in Spanish for those of you who aren't bilingual like myself, who aren't bicuspid like myself. I love you. May the Lord keep you. Oh, I'm sorry. And don't just live elevated. Life is hard enough. So don't just live elevated. Until next time, I love you. May the Lord keep you. I will see you at the next show tomorrow, which is not you're going to get these sports. It'll be church flow. Y'all have a great night. Peace. Appreciate y'all, man.